So you gave a very passionate speech today. Your passion is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It really is.
I think that's why a lot of us are doing what we're doing, you know.
It's a fire in the belly.
It really is. It's a fire all around us. Yeah.
What kind of personal healing needs to take place in order for a person to see a green perspective?
That's a really interesting question. I think what we're doing is political therapy. We have been so wounded politically. We've been so exploited and abused and beat up politically. Taken advantage of. Our political process has been hijacked by predators, financial predators, climate predators, education predators, you name it. Guys who are really on the make and out to make the biggest buck they can, and they buy the politicians, and that's the way it works. And down we go, because our democracy is what enables us to live like a community. If we don't, we're in big trouble. We're seeing that all around us in the direction that our economy is going. Wages are dropping, jobs are going overseas, people are losing their homes, schools are being privatized, and the climate is in a free fall. But at the same time, there's an incredible mobilization that's happening. And our humanity and our community are asserting themselves and saying that we're going to take our democracy back and make this work. I feel like through our campaign, through our presidential campaign, and as well as through the party, a lot of what we're doing is political therapy and giving people the strength to break up with their political abusers. You know, a lot of people have been in this very abusive political relationship, and they haven't had the courage to stand up and walk away, and they make all kinds of excuses for it, like that, oh, they didn't really mean that. You know, Obama, he really means right in his heart. He didn't mean to take our jobs away and send them overseas. He didn't mean to give all those trillions of dollars to banks and leave us in the hole, closing our schools and putting students in debt. He didn't mean to do that. It was the Republicans who made him do it. But the record, unfortunately, doesn't support that. And it's like the excuses that a person would make for their abusive partner. I think the healing is all about breaking up with our abusers and reclaiming our politics, a healthy, mutual politics that's about everyday people, that's of, by, and for the people. That's what the Green Party is.
In terms of power and feminism, what is the difference between Green Party feminism and, say, a feminism of Hillary Clinton?
I'd say the feminism of Hillary Clinton is skin deep. Feminism is not consistent with corporations running the world and subjugating women to lives of poverty and insecurity and lack of health care and taking away their homes. That's how deep the feminism of Hillary Clinton and the Democrats go. It was her husband, Bill, who gave the thumbs up to Larry Summers and all the changes that they pushed through to enable the financialization of our economy and to deregulate Wall Street. If you're a feminist, if you really care about the welfare of our families and communities, you don't throw them under the bus. That's not okay. Feminism needs to be about people, about our families, about the sanctity of families and respect for motherhood. And by that, I don't just mean being the mothers biologically of our children, but being the mothers of our planet and our communities, that we're about caring. And I think the Green Party really embodies that and gets beyond some superficialness. Hillary Clinton's feminism seems to be that I can be as much of a tough guy warmonger predator on civil liberties as the toughest man out there. To my mind, feminism doesn't mean you can be as much of a bad guy as any man. It's not about that kind of strength. It's about a much deeper strength and a much bigger vision.
I would like to know about the Green Party foreign policy. Particularly, last night we saw 5 broken cameras about the Palestinian-Israeli settlement issue. How would a Green Party administration deal with that?
I would say that we need a foreign policy that's based on human rights and international law. And we need to stop funding people, and especially funding the military, of countries who are violating human rights, and that means through occupations, through settlements in occupied territory. That means an apartheid within Israel between the status of Jewish citizens and the non-Jewish citizens who essentially have no rights and protections. We need to stop funding such governments. And without that funding, I think suddenly we'll see a whole new ball game, or even the threat that our $3.5 billion a year, something like that, in aid. We need to stop strengthening the perpetrators of human rights abuses.
Going back to the abuse problem.
There you go.
Political abuse.
Exactly.
So how is a Green New Deal different than a socialist economic plan, or is it the same?
I think the words, sometimes the labels get thrown around in a way that leaves us not knowing exactly what it is. So I think it's important to be clear. A Green New Deal would create a democracy. It contains democratic reforms so that we, the people, actually have a say. And that includes having jobs, which is what people want. People want to create jobs. Polls show over and over again that people want to put people back to work and actually consider it government's responsibility to see to it that we put people back to work. We did that during the Great Depression in the form of the New Deal. It got millions of people back to work. And then we created an even bigger employment program called the military-industrial complex. That's socialism. It's socialism on behalf of a few wealthy individuals and their corporations, you know. So that's why I find the terms are a little bit confusing, because we have socialism for corporations. We have welfare for corporations, which is going strong. Welfare for people was ended a long time ago, along with the safety net for people. It wasn't completely ended, but it was vastly curtailed. So a Green New Deal is about doing what we need to do, what the American people want, and it solves not only the economic crisis, puts us on a strong footing to jumpstart the economy, but it also transitions the economy to a green economy, which will put a halt to the climate change. It will put people back to work doing the things that we have to do on an emergency basis. That is, green our energy supply. We need to shut down fossil fuels by 2030. That's what the science tells us we need to do. And it turns out we can do that. We can actually afford to do that, and we get a whole lot healthier if we do it. We get so much healthier that it makes it actually affordable. We save so much money by preventing these needless heart attacks, strokes, asthma, cancer, learning disabilities, all these things linked to fossil fuels. We get so much healthier that it actually pays for the cost of the transition. So let's do it at the same time that we put people back to work, which will put money into our coffers. That's how we get out of debt, by jump-starting the economy. That's how we got into debt. When the economy crashed, we developed this skyrocketing deficit, but that goes away once we jumpstart the economy. This is how we do it, and we can do it for about half the cost of Obama's stimulus package. We can actually jumpstart the economy. And when you then factor in the healthcare savings, I think it will do away with most of the cost here. You could add a small tax on Wall Street, which should be paying its share, and then, you know, the cost is paid for. If you add all these things up, cost is not an issue. There's an incredible cost to allowing this economic crisis, this unemployment to continue, to allowing the climate to continue to crash. That's what we can't afford. What we can afford is getting our lives, our economy, our climate, and international peace back on track. And that's an added benefit, that a green economy means we've got our energy 100% wind, water, and solar right here at home. Forget the wars for oil. Forget this $1 trillion a year being squandered on this massive military-industrial security complex. We can cut back to the defense budget we had 10 years ago, when we were actually a whole lot more secure than we are now, dropping bombs on civilians, conducting drone warfare on lots of innocent communities that then become mobilized and become our worst enemy. So this is a win-win all around, and the clock is ticking, so time to move there.
And what about nuclear abolition? Are you for that? Do you think that's a possibility, or a pipe dream, or what?
Oh, it's absolutely possible. And this plan that looked at what it would cost to go to 100% wind, water, and sun included nuclear abolition. It includes shutting down our nuclear power plants, which we need to do as soon as possible. These are extremely dangerous. We don't need them. There is no way to prevent nuclear proliferation except to go to abolition. You know, we've had this framework for preventing the proliferation of nuclear weapons, but they're proliferating anyhow. Why? Because we say, oh, we can have them, just nobody else. That just doesn't fly. We need to get rid of all the nuclear weapons. If we expect other countries not to want them, we've got to be willing to give them up too. It's the only way to go. Nuclear warfare is absolutely untenable. We are poisoning the planet right now with the nuclear pollution that has been unleashed since the time of the first tests, even before Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And since then, you can see just nuclear exposures rising all over the planet. All the more so since the meltdown of Fukushima. So we have this nuclear threat on both sides, on the side of energy and on the side of weapons. It's the same radiation, it all adds up. It is entering the food chain, especially through the oceans. They're not even tracking what's coming out of Fukushima and how it may be working its way up the fish food chain right now. So we cannot afford any more nuclear contamination because it's with us for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years. It's not something that we're going to get over. We have to stop this before it's too late. And fortunately, we can do that and save money and get healthy, you know? So it's not like there's some sacrifice involved here. Quite to the contrary, this is all in our self-interest. The only one whose interest it's not in is the nuclear power industry and all the politicians that are in bed with them. We need to get rid of these power brokers who have absolutely betrayed the public interest. Fighting one issue at a time, it's important to do the research and to have people with the expertise, but we also all need to work together, because when we work together for people, peace, and the planet and a sustainable future, we've got the numbers many times over to change our future right now while we still have time.
With the shadow government that you have proposed, the cabinet, do you have a minister of architecture? How are you going to overcome urban sprawl?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we do have ministers of or secretaries in many environmental areas, and they do have some expertise on many of these things. But, you know, do we have a secretary of architecture? That's a very interesting question. I don't think we do. And we're always interested to hear about additional positions and candidates for those positions. So don't hesitate to send us some suggestions. It's definitely a live and growing enterprise. So we're adding positions all the time.
I really appreciate this interview.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for the great work you're doing.
I would like to know, would you give me permission to use this footage on YouTube and with my
sure.
community TV?
Absolutely. Yes. No, thank you. I think community TV and YouTube is where it's at. You know, we talk about the press now as being the press for the most part, with a few exceptions, but the press is not doing its job. And it's time for us, the people, to make it happen. And community TV is a wonderful institution. So thank you for being a part of that. And thank you for this good interview. Keep getting the word out and raising the bar, because we do have the power. It's all about our getting connected with each other to recognize that we have the power and to start using it.